predictable and so logical that this is what would happen. It was just our inexperience that we thought this could work. And so what happened was there were these separate disparate businesses. So I was running a testing business, there was a networking business, and one of the partners was doing the admin, the support of the HR and all of that. So businesses grow differently, and then you have these inevitable problems. So in these kind of things, how do you handle these things? So this is where mentors are really useful, and I do believe that TiE can play a role in advising entrepreneurs when they're forming these steps. What is likely to work, what is not likely to work. It's looking back, it's very simple to say that startups, they're being so small, they should be focused on one niche idea. It's not a good idea for startups to be doing multiple businesses, and then it's not going to work. But now that I know from experience, at that time it was the mentors who could advise you on these kind of things and so on. So we had advisors as well. Avinash is here. So we had advisors on our board as well who advised us, and so these kind of things are extremely important for anybody, I think, and I would highly recommend. Now, of course, TiE is there, and you could meet the TiE members. But even in the industry, there are other people who are ready to help. Help is always there. Yes. You talked about the secrecy part, I think, as a competition part of it. Yeah.
Do you hide something? Or
right. So I
open with your mentors, advisors?
Yeah. So of course, you have to be completely open with your mentors and advisors, right? Otherwise, how do they help you? I do get this sometimes, like this idea and the stealth mode, and I have to be in stealth mode and so on. Of course, I was in the services business, so it was not that much of a concern. I mean, everybody knew what a testing business was, and we were doing that. But it is also my experience that implementation is so much more important than the idea itself. Right? Anybody who has done business will know that somebody starts with some idea. You look at any successful business, it starts with some idea. Finally, what shape that idea takes is completely different. How does that happen? So that idea has to be played in the market, and then something happens. You get feedback and so on, and then you keep on changing till it works. Very rarely does the original idea in its original form become successful in the market. So if that is the case, what's the importance of that It's all, I think, about implementation. And so even if you, let's say, don't share your idea, once you're in the market, everybody is going to know that idea. So that's just my thought. I've not done a product business, so maybe there would be other views in this as well.
When you started the testing business, it was greenfield, right?
Yeah.
Almost nobody else was doing it. But then RailQs and Dishas came along, and they were competitors. How did you differentiate? What is that you are doing differently? What set you apart from those guys?
So we roughly started around the same time. In fact, when we started testing in Prabodhan, RailQ had also started testing in Bangalore, but I was not aware. We came to know later on when we met at a conference. Disha started around 97, but they got into the testing business in 2000. And so, like I said, roughly we all started around the same time. In a sense, if you have competition, that's validation of your idea. If you are going to say that I am the only company doing this business and there is no other company doing that business, you really have to question, what you're doing, because then the market is not validating that idea. So, from that perspective, I was not worried about the competition. On the other hand, Disha, in fact, I knew Disha because they were here in Pune. They did quite well. They had a lot of Microsoft business, so they were in a different business than what we were. And they did very well. They grew very well, and they also got acquired, I think, pretty early, 2003 or 4 or something like that. How did we differentiate? So we also realized after some point, we grew to about 100 people in, I think, 2004 or 5 time frame. So that means there was a reasonable stability. We were doing business. People knew us in the market, and but a lot of that business was actually helping companies in Pune like Tech Mahindra and KPIT and ISS, those kind of companies with their testing. And that business was going on well, but we felt this need to differentiate. How do we make sure that we grow from here at this point? This is where the advice helped. And we actually sat down and thought about what is the vertical that we can get into. Because we realized that horizontally it cannot grow. Horizontally we cannot go any further. We could just be sending resources to all these different companies, but we got to identify a vertical that we have. And of course, if you look at what verticals, what is the biggest vertical? Let's say banking, insurance. Of course, you have to rule them out. All these Infosys and Wipros are doing that banking business. How do you get into those kind of businesses? And that is where, by design, we actually explored and found that games could be the vertical for us. So I remember going to a conference in Los Angeles. It was Games Outsourcing Conference. I remember being in that conference, about 250 people in that room, and there were 5 Indians out of those 250. And I said to myself, if this was an IT conference, 50% people would be Indians, right? So which meant that, IT outsourcing was quite a done thing, but games outsourcing was not. And, we pushed hard on this games outsourcing. We have still have that business going strong. We have 2 parts of it. One is video games testing, and the other is online gambling testing. We have really grown this practice as well. In video games, I don't know if any of you are gamers, but Batman the Arkham City, which was the #1 game a couple of years back, was tested in our office. And the proof of that is, if you buy that game in retail, like a movie, the credits come in the end, you'll see SQS, and the 25 or 30 odd people who actually worked on them, by name, each one of them is mentioned in that retail game of Batman. Similarly, on the online gambling side, we are actually testing on behalf of the control commissions, so the regulatory bodies who control the business. So it is with our certificate that these games go online. So it's very interesting business. So this is the business that I'm talking about 2005 time frame. We figured that this was the business that not too many large companies were there, and it would also not be there in future. So you can't imagine Wipro or Infosys getting into games testing. And that really, paid us rich dividends. So again, the same funda that I said earlier. While our local business was going strong, and our team was managing that, and I have some of my senior colleagues here who were there from the Prabodhan days. They were, very well managing that business. I moved on to this games thing. One of the biggest challenges in this video games business was to get partnerships with companies like Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. These are the 3 console manufacturers. You can imagine a 100 people company trying to get partnerships with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, because otherwise this business could not happen. So that is where most of my time went in that period, in getting that partnerships. And luckily we got them. It was a lot of work. At that time, Xbox was almost a different campus from Microsoft. So I had contacts in Microsoft. They wouldn't even know who were the Xbox people. Now it's Microsoft Games, but at that time when it was Xbox, the different campus, different domain also .xbox.com. So that was the hardest part. But once we did that, that was the barrier we created for anybody else. Because now we could test a game on all these platforms, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, and that is what got us a lot of business. So that is how we differentiated. So I think that was, this is about 2005. So by 2007, the video games practice, not by 2007, but the video games practice by itself had peaked at about 200 plus people. Huge success in both these businesses. So essentially, to answer your question, we had to identify niches, verticals where we could play, and that was what worked for us.
That's very interesting. Fast forwarding. SQS acquired Verisort. How did that happen? What were your parameters when you were looking at a potential acquirer for your business, which you own almost 100%, right?
Yeah.
And what made it successful so that you're still with the acquired company for almost 5 years now,
yeah,
and still going strong?
Yes. So I was, first of all, not looking for an acquirer. So we were just happy growing our business. But as it happens, these discussions with VCs and all that had started around this. I'm talking about 2006-2007 time frame, because we were on everybody's radar. This is a testing company going quite well. Very profitable. I mean, I must say that we were running our business quite in a very cost-conscious manner. We were very profitable and so on. So it was a good business that was going on. So of course we were on the radar of many people, but maybe it was just my inexperience in business that I was not looking for acquisition at all. I knew that we needed some kind of partnership to grow from that point. So, but after having a few discussions with the typical financial investors and so on, I thought that this was not the way for us to go. We needed a strategic partner. So we were again not a product company, so my experience could be different from people who are looking for a product kind of a thing. So we were already profitable and so on. So it was not so much the financial part, but